Live from Greenville, North Carolina, the Fanbulance crew has assembled. We are at Pitt Street Brewing Company, home of the best Kolsch in town. We are getting ready for a major cross-country tour, which will take us from Greenville to Kansas City, to Louisville, to Boone, North Carolina, where College Gameday will make its first appearance. Wazoo will fly Old Crimson behind that ESPN booth for the 283rd time in a row. I'm Tim Birch, and joining me as always, John Knuckles, Kent Griffin. Gentlemen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great right now. I'm just trying to think about how I'm going to get enough sleep to be able to go from Greenville, North Carolina to Kansas City.
How many states?
24 hours.
How many states are we going to take in?
I think there's 9. We counted last time, is how that route takes us. But, gentlemen, let's take a moment and talk about our last trip. We were here in our hometown watching ECU take on NC State.
Yeah, that was fun.
And talk about a close game, right?
Man, had me nervous.
Yeah. Kent here's rooting for the visitors, NC State, but I think everybody else was on ECU's side. And
They had them.
yeah,
On the ropes.
They had them. You're right. You're right. A couple of miscues and special teams that'll cost you every time.
That poor kicker. I feel so bad.
Yeah. Well, you know,
He redeemed himself the next weekend.
that's life. You got to learn to roll with the punches.
We had a good time at the tailgate. The ECU crowd really knows how to do it.
Enjoyed the field there, enjoyed the walkabouts, met some really nice people, a couple of old football players.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Be able to talk to them. They ran the single wing at East Carolina.
Oh, that
back
made
in
you
the
happy.
late 60s. You got to love somebody that knows the intricacies of the single wing offense.
I think they got a kick out of the fact that his fantasy football team is the single wing. Instant connection.
Loser. Yeah.
Well, listen, let's take these games in order. Our first stop, we're going to leave tomorrow night. We're going to drive all through the night and arrive at Kansas City for a 7:15 kickoff, September 15th, in KC as they take on the Los Angeles Chargers. Division rivals.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, no better place in the world to tailgate than Arrowhead Stadium. It's going to be crazy because it's Thursday night and you've got traffic coming in from work and people leaving early and calling in the next day and all that jazz for a Thursday nighter. It's the home opener.
The Kansas City flu.
Yeah, the 50th anniversary of Arrowhead Stadium this year, so I'm sure they're going to be doing some special things for that. I think we're going to try to storm Gate 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Gate 6, that's exactly right.
Yeah,
Trying to get into Lot G.
Yeah, we'll be out in Lot G if we get there in time to party, so come on by and see us. But yeah, big game. Week 2, both teams are 1-0. Both teams have their eye on winning the division, and really they have their eyes on bigger things. 2 premier quarterbacks in the game, and Justin Herbert and Pat Mahomes. And then you've just got a ton of injuries, unfortunately. Kansas City went out to Arizona, dominated that game.
44-21.
Yeah, but the field was in horrendous shape, and we came away with a lot of injuries. Just heard on the news today that
Trent McDuffie.
Yeah, he's going on the IR for at least 4 weeks with the hamstring. Butker, the kicker,
I like to call him Butt Kicker.
Harrison Butt Kicker, is questionable, and they've signed another kicker, so that's not a good sign for him. On the other hand, and on the other team, you've got Keenan Allen for the Chargers, their veteran wide receiver, wily wide receiver, thinks a lot of himself, and why not? He's got his own leg issues, and
Hamstring, right?
yeah, the rumor is that he's not going to play, and we'll see. But if that's true, that'll help the Chiefs with the loss of McDuffie. So, you know, McDuffie's a rookie, but he's going to get replaced by other rookies, and they're really thin at defensive back. They were going to be this year in terms of experience anyway, but now they're starting to get thin on bodies with the loss of their first-round pick. But they played well on defense last week. Hopefully they can carry that forward and play well with the defensive line, getting a lot more pressures on the quarterback than they did last year, and that will help those corners out a great deal if they don't have to cover a guy for as long as the defensive backs did last year. They look quicker on defense. The linebackers are are as advertised. Nick Bolton and Willie Gay are fast and furious, and they just get after it. The Chargers defense, stars across the board. Khalil Mack had a great first game for the Chargers. Of course, he was playing against his old team and probably had a lot to take out.
The Raiders, 24-19, they took that game, right?
Yeah, it was closer than I actually thought it would be, although a lot of people think more of the Raiders than I do, and that's probably just a natural bias on my part.
That's a Kansas City. You come out of the womb feeling that way about the Raiders.
Pretty much. But still a big win for Los Angeles. I keep wanting to say San Diego.
I know.
It's hard.
And the Chargers look ready to score on offense with Justin Herbert having a terrific game. He, next to Patrick Mahomes, might have had the best game of any quarterback in week 1. So it's going to be
well, and the last 2 times these teams met up at Arrowhead, the Chargers prevailed.
They did, but they're not going to catch Chiefs off guard this time. Right?
No, this is going to be on Amazon Prime. Chiefs are favored 3.5 points, and the team is taking it very serious. You got Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, right after they come off that major victory or impressive victory in Phoenix against Arizona. They said enjoy the plane ride, but that's it.
That's it.
Then it's on to work.
It's back to work.
Back to work. Yeah. Focus on the Chargers.
The only people working harder than us to try to get to that game.
Yeah. We're gonna make some effort, but I think they're making some bigger efforts right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, that's Thursday night, and then we're gonna get a few hours of sleep after the game. Maybe. Or and we're going to head off to Louisville, where we are going to watch Florida State take on Louisville at Cardinal Stadium. That's going to be a 7:30 kickoff on Friday, September 16th. It's going to be a heck of a drive for us, but we're looking for, some impressive action there.
Yeah, rolling in. There's, 2 teams that really, they need this game. Florida State, on the one hand, they came off the big victory at LSU. And they want to keep that rolling. If they go up to Louisville and drop this game, it really puts a dent in what Mike Norvell's trying to do with that team and try to bring that back to Florida State of old. On the other hand, Louisville got squeaked out of Central Florida last week with a win.
After losing to Syracuse,
tough
right?
Game. They got their butts handed to them up in Syracuse. Now, Syracuse might surprise some folks this year. They've got a good quarterback, and they've got a good running back, a really good running back. And he ran all over Louisville, and I think that caught them off guard, and they just got blasted. There's just no other way of putting it. So Coach Satterfield's got to have his guys ready to roll again, and it's going to be a big challenge, really, because Florida State, they look like they might be on their way back. They look big-bodied. They look like they have talent that they haven't had in the last few years, and the quarterback, ironically transferred from Louisville, Jordan Travis, has now kind of put together some throwing touch with excellent natural running ability. He is as shifty as anybody in the country, and he's really become the leader of that Florida State team.
Yeah,
and
threw for 260 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Ontario Wilson, 102 yards. That's a team coming off an impressive win over LSU in the Superdome.
Close game.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly.
24-23. Doesn't get much closer than that.
Wasn't able to get, again, special teams issues. Special teams going to cost some teams some games this year, both at the college level and in the NFL, if they don't get things squared away. So it makes for a fun season, though. It was exciting to watch that game. It was exciting to watch the State ECU game last week. And really all we can hope for after week 1 of the NFL is just to have another slate of games in college and NFL that were as exciting as the first week, because it was lit.
Yeah, it was. I think you might have messaged me at some point. There was an overdose of football, if that's even possible.
That Pitt-Cincinnati NFL game, man, I was a little bit shook after that, just watching all the back and forth. I didn't know what the heck was going to happen. There were about 4 or 5 different times in that game where I thought it was over for one team or the other, and it wasn't. And but that was fun.
It was like a heavyweight fight.
It was, or a flyweight fight. Who knows?
We'll see.
They were swinging. They were swinging. So it was good times.
Well, so we got Coach Scott Satterfield in Louisville, right? And he came off losing season last year. Defense really struggling. They had an Arizona State. I happen to love the Sun Devils. They had a little transfer come in, Jermaine Lowley, and he's out for the season. Nose tackle with an elbow injury. Still got 1 year eligibility, but they'd really hoped to help the Cardinal run defense that was allowing 4.4 yards per carry, and now they got a vacuum there.
Yeah, and Florida State has enough talent in their backfield that they can put pressure on that area. I mean, like I said before, Jordan Travis can run all over the place. They've got running backs that can carry the ball for them as well, and they can put pressure on that Louisville defense. And frankly, Louisville's defense doesn't really match up from a talent perspective to what Florida State faced with LSU. So, Florida State's going to feel like, okay, we've got a little bit more room here to get going. And I expect Scott Satterfield is going to have his hands full this Friday.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Well, they need a really big game out of Malik Cunningham. They just need a lot of yards.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here talking about Jordan Travis and what a great quarterback, a running quarterback he is, and Malik Cunningham.
121 yards rushing.
Yeah, he might be the best running quarterback.
43-yard run for touchdown in that last game.
Yeah. When he came on campus, I think they thought they had another Lamar Jackson. And,
yeah.
I don't know that he's quite that talented, especially with throwing the ball, but he certainly is exciting. And when you have two quarterbacks that can make things happen, even with broken plays, it makes for a really exciting college football game.
It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to take in Louisville, all that it has to offer.
I know, right?
Tailgate and all. I don't think we know where we'll be for that tailgate.
Well, we've got a parking pass. I want to say I know where we're going to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I know where we're going to be. So their lots stack up almost like a little layer, like a layer cake, right?
Okay.
And if the top of the cake is the closest lot to the stadium, we're on the lower layer of the cake. So you've got 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, we're 4th layer.
Okay.
So we're coming in right off the street, that first lot. It's all very close to the stadium. These aren't huge lots, but we're right off the stadium, and I think it's lot D, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the most wonderful part of it is if you look behind us and you see this ride,
That's right.
it's us.
Yeah.
So come up and say hello.
It's an emergency.
It is an emergency. We will have IVs.
Is
always.
it near Old Forester or Angel Envy?
It can be.
I think there's a parking spot waiting for us.
For the right price, it certainly can be.
Well, listen, that brings us to our third venture on this journey. And Scott Satterfield's actually a nice little connection, segue here. We are on our way then at that point to Boone, where ESPN College Gameday is going to make its first appearance. And Coach Satterfield from Louisville played quarterback at App State and coached through 2018.
He had a cup of coffee at NC State, and then I guess they liked the way he drank it so much they hired him at App State. He went up there and was winning, and so he quickly matriculated up that career ladder to Louisville. So good for him.
ESPN saw the Boone fans wildin' after their upset over number 6 Texas
They were
A&M.
jumping in rivers and burning cars and just jumping out of apartment buildings.
Now, they weren't burning cars. They weren't jumping out of or burning apartment buildings. Come on.
They were jumping in rivers.
They were definitely jumping in rivers. They were definitely jumping in rivers.
Wow.
Rolling cars. Maybe.
Rolling them.
Okay, we'll take that. Listen, a 17-14 win coming after a fierce battle with UNC in the week prior that we loved and enjoyed, 63-61. App State scoring 40 points in that fourth quarter. Amazing.
That's a crazy amount of offense.
Yeah, it was and a crazy lack of defense.
No doubt.
Being honest
No doubt.
about it. But,
Chase Bryce coming off 376 yards, 6 TDs in that game.
Yeah, Chase Bryce has been a transfer for, I believe, at Clemson, then Duke, then App State. He's been in college for like 10 years. He's one of those guys where you're like, that dude's still around? And he's just a solid quarterback. And he's blessed with having Cameron Peoples in the backfield with him, because that guy can rip it up. NFL talent all day long. He's fun running back to watch.
112 yards last game. 6'2", 225 pounds, kid from Alabama.
Yeah, he's a football player. He's my kind of pretty.
Listen, they came up with a new strategy, though, in that Texas A&M game. Rather than air it out in that fashion, it was all about time of possession. 41 minutes, 29 seconds for App State, 18 minutes, 17 seconds for Texas A&M. Two of the drives ate up 15 minutes from the clock.
Well, I think that was probably the coach's strategy, and it worked really well, and it was smart, because if you're out-talented from just a pure athletic standpoint, the best thing that you can do is keep those athletes off the field for as long as possible. Don't give Texas A&M a bunch of opportunities to score, and you can limit the damage that comes from any drives they have. And then you get lucky and you get up and they start to pucker a little bit, then who knows what can happen. And what can happen is that an SEC team can go down to a Sun Belt team, and that's exactly right. What happened.
Well, listen, and it's not their first rodeo. Back in 2007, this App State team took down number 5 Michigan. It's a program with 3 FCS titles before moving to the FBS in 2014.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was crazy, because that was at Ann Arbor, just like
in
this
the
one
big
was
house.
at Texas A&M. I don't know why they refuse to win games that are big in front of their own students. Probably because they don't get paid $1.5 million.
$1.5 million paying to lose.
Yeah. So, but impressive win, and really offensively they were impressive against UNC. They obviously figured some things out against Texas A&M on the defensive side of the ball. They certainly have athletes on the defensive side of the ball, at linebacker, at defensive line, and I think that their defensive back is coming along. Especially linebackers. I think it's Trey Cobb and Nate Hampton are both all-conference caliber linebackers, and when you have that, you can slow some guys down that are running on the other side of the ball, and I think that puts you in a position to win, and that's exactly what they did with A&M.
Well, they are taking on the Troy Trojans from Alabama with 6 championships in the Sun Belt since they joined in 2004. 2018, Dollar General Bowl. They eked out a win over Buffalo, who was favored, so much so that the West Virginia Mountaineers stole Coach Neil Brown as their head coach, and they had to bring in Chip Lindsey, who didn't have too many good years there, 3 years that no bowl appearances.
I think they actually fired him before the season was over last year.
They did, yeah.
And then they brought in John Sumrell from Kentucky, who Kentucky's had great defensive teams the last few years. They're extremely well coached with Mark Stoops, and so they bring over a co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach in John Sumrell, who's young, energetic, and certainly looks the part of one of your up-and-coming head coaches now.
A Kentucky program that just took down Florida, by the way.
Yeah, that was a crazy game, too. I mean,
no doubt.
It was loaded. The whole weekend was just great. Football all over the place, good games. And then the defense kind of won that game for them, too, with that pick 6 off of Anthony Richardson late in the second half. So that was an exciting game to watch. With Troy, you also have not just the 6 Sun Belt championships. I think 1968, they won the NAIA National Championship. Division II, they won the National Championship in 84 and 87. So this is a school that has some history of winning football and usually shows up game and gives teams a tough time, even if they're playing a little bit above their pay grade in terms of higher division foes. At least they have historically. Now they're in FBS, they're in Sun Belt. Sun Belt's getting all this attention for the wins that they've had: Marshall over Notre Dame, App State over at A&M, and they're looking like a conference that could really make some noise this year, and I'm sure Troy wants to be a part of that. They started off the season losing to Ole Miss, which isn't anything to be ashamed of.
No.
I think it's 28-10 loss, and that's not a blowout, but you want to do better. Then they played Alabama A&M at home. I think somebody they would look at as a little bit of a weaker division opponent. started off the game really slow offensively, couldn't really get it going to the second half, and then just poured it on. I think the final score was 38-17, but they put their second and third string in the fourth quarter. At one point, it was 31-3, and they had just completely dominated from the defensive side of the ball. And they've got guys that are game. They have, I'd like to say maybe 5 or 6 different guys that are on either the first or second team preseason Sunbelt all-conference list. So they've got players that can match up with App State. App State's gotten the best of them over the last several years, and really the best of the entire conferences that they've been in. But I'm expecting Troy to show up. I'm expecting Troy to show up, game and ready to duke it out with App State.
Well, the fans are going to be in attendance. The ticket prices have skyrocketed thanks to College Game Day. Can't wait to see Old Crimson flying and waving in the background. Look for me. I might have a little wazoo something to say, hey, I'm here.
Crazy. We're going to be like blowing into town off of about 6 hours sleep in the last 4 days, and it's going to be punch drunk, and we're just going to be swinging the stand on our feet right there.
I can't wait. Yeah. It's going to be one hell of a trip. We want you to join us on TikTok as we make our way across country. The link is in the About tab if you happen to be watching our YouTube channel. We're looking forward to some great football, some KC barbecue. Louisville capped off with ESPN College Game Day in Boone.
If you're a night owl, we may live TikTok on the way out there too. So if you want to jump in the Fanbulance with us for a little while, we'll be doing who knows what to stay awake as we drive through the night. So
I highly suggest you join us. It'll be an interesting conversation.
I think we need a few shout outs too, though, don't we?
Yeah. Tell us what you got. Tell us what you got.
Well, I definitely want to shout out to Kansas City Meats. Met those people down at Floribama just a few weeks back. Very,
KC
very
Meat
nice.
Company.
Kansas City Meat Company. So I'll give a little shout out to them. But listen, Boulevard.
Yeah.
It said Boulevard. Boulevard.
Yeah.
That's an awesome. And then when we get to Louisville, you're talking about the distilleries, like I said, but also you got Old Louisville Brewery, Fall City Beer. We want to check out some of these places. Come bring some by the family. We'll be glad to share with you. And when we get to Boone, there's this little place called Boone Shine Brewery. That sounds interesting to me. And we will definitely be at Appalachian Mountain Brewery at a given point that afternoon after everything kind of settles. Well, if App wins, it won't settle down. So
there's a rumor that we might have some drinkable IVs in the ambulance.
I heard something about that.
So we might be able to do a little trade for some.
Yeah,
that's right. Visitors are welcome in the Fanbulance.
They are barely drinkable. Let's put that. Listen, that. We've been talking about the odds of these various games, and I got to tell you, we have written to Vegas, Caesars, various and sundry sports books, and they put our odds of surviving this trip at 0 Kelvin.
I like those odds.
We'll take those odds.
I'll take them.
It's always football season.
Fanbulance crew out.